Hello, everybody, and welcome to Hash Rate. My guests today are Yoav and Garrett from Tao.com. Hello, gentlemen. How you doing?
Hey, good to be here.
What a great domain name. You guys actually own the Tao.com domain. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yeah.
How did you guys get that before we dive into other stuff?
Paid a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll bet, right? Because it's even before Bittensor, like Tao is a great word and it's a 3-letter domain. So holy crap, that's a great one. So good on you guys. So you guys are here to show us some cool new stuff today that you guys have cooked up at Tao.com. Most people who watch this show know I have copious notes and have prepared, but today I'm sort of flying blind because you guys, this is brand new. You guys are just releasing some new goodies. So why don't you tell us what you've been up to and what you're up to releasing?
Yeah. So what we're releasing today is really the first product coming from Tao.com, which is our wallet app. And the wallet app is really it's the Bittensor wallet. We've taken over that. You know, the Open Tensor Foundation basically suggested that we take the wallet over so they can focus really on building the protocol. And so we took the team together with all the, obviously, the costs and the expenses that come with the wallet. And really what we've done in the past 6 months or so has been to reimagine the wallet, right? I think it's safe to say that the original Bittensor wallet had its quirks and a lot of friction. You know, we very much believe that if we want to see Bittensor really become the thing that we all think it should be, then ultimately we need to build great tooling and services and great user experience that removes the friction, right? And then that will really enable the masses to come in. And I think that listening to some of your other conversations, I think that that's a great passion of yours as well, Mark. Kind of like the user experience, like the ease of use.
Yeah, no, it totally is. And we were all like, when the foundation wallet, I don't want to rip on the foundation wallet because, you know, the early wallets are always a little ganky. Like there's just no way around it. It's a new chain, like a completely new set of stuff. And I remember when I was in the Ethereum ICO, and when we first got our Ethereum, we had the Geth wallet, right? Which I don't know if you guys were around for those days, but you know, MetaMask is like Windows, and that compared to like the DOS like world of Geth, right? It was very much like, what the fuck is going on? What is this? It was not consumer friendly. It wasn't even like techno person friendly. You know, you had to really just be, you know, knee deep in nerdness to even sort of half understand it. So, okay. So tell us, so can you show us this wallet? What do you have something to demo today?
Absolutely. Garrett is the right guy to actually walk us through it. And really, you know, in a way, like we didn't want to have any preparation for this with you because we wanted this to be as authentic as possible and for you to just ask questions, give us feedback. That's something that we very much like believe in as part of, you know, as a brand, essentially.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm excited. Let's see what you got.
Awesome. So let's just dive right in. So what you'll see is that this is the Tao.com app that is replacing the Bittensor wallet. So if you have the Bittensor wallet, you can update to Tao.com in the App Store. You can find us in the App Store as well. So we'll dive right in here, and we're already blocked out. Now this is a screen share, so it's asking for my Touch ID, but this will actually scan your face for Face ID. So this already gives you a layer of security as you dive into the app. But this is the home screen, and this is where basically the user will be introduced to basically their balance and their positions and what they have in Bittensor. This is the lay of the land. And we wanted to make this really user friendly. We didn't want to make this a Bloomberg terminal or something super complicated. We wanted this to be really the gateway into Bittensor for the average investor, average consumer, and so this is what we have here. And to make things easier, we actually have this ability to just really easily switch to everything being in USD instead of Tau, if you so choose, and that affects the graphs and whatnot. And so right here, just as a quick glance, we can see in the top right corner, this is the price of Tau. And we can go look at this and we can see the graph. We can scrub through this. We can look at some basic metrics and just get a bird's eye view of kind of where things are at with Tau. All the information you want, but not too much information that it becomes difficult to understand. And so we can go ahead and buy Tau here directly in the app.
Oh, wow.
we've integrated Coinbase into the experience. And so you can just go right in here and you can say, okay, I want to buy $100 worth of Tau. That's going to put about a third of a Tau into my demo wallet here. And that will kick me out to Coinbase. And that'll allow me to check out with Apple Pay or with my Coinbase account. Or
now,
with a
question, do I have to actually already have a Coinbase account, or is this sort of...
You do not need to have a Coinbase account. You do need to have a debit card. There will be some regions in the world that may have different restrictions, but as long as you have a debit card, you can just check out with Apple Pay.
Wow. Okay. This is great. So for the very first time, like in wallet, without having to have an account somewhere else, you can just go buy Tau, raw Tau right away using your debit card. That's fantastic.
Correct. And actually, like even this for us is a little bit too much friction. And so we're going to make this even easier over time. Because ultimately, like, again, like going back to what we were saying before, it is very much about removing friction, and anything that's in the way of you actually getting onboarded to Bittensor, we want to actually remove.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. And we want to make this a trustworthy experience as well. So everything is done through Coinbase, a trusted provider. And, we're always adding more ways to enter into this ecosystem as easily as possible. So this is kind of the Tau price bird's eye view, but this is really not the main focal point of this app. Really, people care about, like, what is my balance? And so I can click here on this graph, and I can look here and see, what my positions look like in total in Tau or in USD. And
just to clarify, I'm sorry, I just wanted to clarify something here. So this number that you're looking at in this graph, this is my Tau plus all of my subnet tokens, like my total, yes, all my bags in one place.
This is the total value of all of your assets in Bittensor. Staked, unstaked, et cetera. And this is the dollar amount of that as well. So this is a graph that just makes it super easy to scrub through and see. We can hide that real quick. We also wanted to make it super easy to just show people that they have missed opportunities here with staking. So much of Tau is actually unstaked, root or otherwise. And so we just have this little alert here that if you have a free balance or an available balance, here I've got some Tau here, it'll say, hey, you're missing out on some APY. You can go ahead and click that and you can stake now. I'm actually not going to do that, so I have some gunpowder for the rest of the demo here. But this is a super cool opportunity to just bring the Tau that you have into just staking it directly onto root to start. And this gives you a little bit of earnings.
Yeah, no, I think it's important to point this out to new users, because this whole staking thing, like, people know sort of about it from Ethereum, but like staking is really core to the Bittensor experience. And this is a new and unusual thing for most people, right? They don't really see this in their MetaMask wallet. So I think it's great that you guys are really highlighting and saying, hey, user, you can earn APY.
Yeah. And, just to jump in here and say that, all of us here are kind of like, we're looking at the matrix and we're seeing what exactly is happening. But for the average user out there, which is really like who we want to cater for, right? Like, we really want to open the floodgates for the retail to come in. We need to make it a lot simpler. And so, like, some of the design and product decisions that we've made here is, for instance, not to belabor you with, pick a validator. You actually go with a Tau.com validator, and we actually we hardware validate over 70% of the subnets. So it's actually a high quality validator. We don't mention to you anything about miners. At the end of the day, we want you to come into Bittensor and look and say, hey, there's actually a lot of just cool decentralized AI startups, and I just want to put some money in. And all of the complexity, if you want, you can go down the rabbit hole, and we're going to guide you through that experience as well. But first and foremost is kind of like, to quote Apple, kind of like an old adage, is that simple should be easy and complex should be possible, right? And so first of all, we want to make sure that it's simple is easy.
Yeah, thank you. I love that the fact that you're obfuscating away all the validator stuff, because end users will not understand that at all. So I thank you for just making that go away. And I applaud everything you're doing here. This is excellent, excellent work. So please continue.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so we also adjusted our verbiage a little bit, and it locked us out because we were inactive for a little while here. Security is a top priority here at Tau.com. So we have staked Tau. We don't say stake to root or anything like that because that's additional complexity. Like what is root? What is subnet 0? We don't want to mess with that. So you stake your Tau or you buy a subnet. That's kind of how we do it.
Yep.
So speaking of buying a subnet, these are my holdings that I have in the demo wallet here. I've got a handful of different ones here. And I can just go ahead and click on one, and I can see what my hold balance in Tau and also in Alpha. So I can see how many Alpha tokens I have. And again, I can just denominate this in dollars if I really want to. Yeah, I can just immediately check the value of my hold, and I can see what APY I'm getting on average. There's some disclaimers here and some explanations about how that APY is calculated. I've held for 19 weeks. And then I have the option here. I can buy more, I could sell, but I could also just click into IOTA here, and I could start learning more about the subnet. Like, oh, okay, I have some Tau in this subnet, but let's learn more. So I can see that on a price graph, they're actually doing pretty good this week. They're 8th in ranking. They have 2% emissions. I don't actually know what all those stats mean just yet, but I can look at some of this other information, like what is IOTA? Who is the team that operates it? So I can look at operated by Microcosmos, and I can see, okay, we got Will, we got Stefan, and here's some information about them. Here's some ways to reach them. And so really this just makes Bittensor a lot more transparent, where we're focusing really on like the content about, what projects and what problems are being solved in Bittensor, and really think of these subnets as like AI startups as opposed to just numbers on a chain.
God, that is beautiful.
And we also want to highlight the builders and highlight what they're building and make it just accessible, right? It's like there's one mission that Tau.com has is making Bittensor really accessible. And so rather than like sifting through a bunch of X posts and like different website and so on, we want to bring everything under one umbrella that is very accessible to you. And then you can make your kind of like staking decisions from here.
You're solving two problems at once. And I think these are the two biggest problems in Bittensor. And you're doing it awesome. I love everything that I've seen so far. This is fantastic work.
Thank you.
The first problem is the accessibility. Like, how do I even get in this universe, right? Mm-hmm. And getting the Tau and the obfuscating the complexity away from people. But I think the second half of the problem, which you are also addressing excellently, is what are these coins? What are these things? And why should I buy them? Right. And I think there's a lack of understanding generally amongst even crypto Twitter, right? Because crypto Twitter is used to meme coin AI things, right? And DeFi, right? So they sort of get that. But this is like a new class, a completely new class of product that they've never seen before. And so we do need to explain it. So the fact that you can sort of click in and get these detailed explanations about what the projects are, what these little AI companies are, and see the faces and and get the bios of the people behind it, that is unbelievably fantastic and half the problem. It's literally 50% of the problem. So yes, this is great.
Yeah.
And we're just getting warmed up.
All right. So let's say that, I looked at this, I saw the chart, and I just got even more convicted about the subnet, and I want to actually buy some more. So I can go ahead and I can increase my hold. And this is, just a standard staking experience, but let's say that I want to put, 2 Tau into this, and get like 97 or so tokens. I can review this transaction, and it'll show me exactly how many tokens I'm going to receive, and just give me a little bit of information about fees and whatnot if I so care. Now, this is going to require me to enter my password because I'm screen sharing, but this will actually, if you have it turned on, it will actually ask for your Face ID to confirm the transaction. So you can do all staking and unstaking operations and transfers with Face ID without using a password. So again, in that realm of just user experience, we really wanted to be stellar here and be secure, but also have that user experience that's just really fluid. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can figure this out. So I'm going to just type in my password for this, but and you can type in your password if you don't have Face ID set up, but that is
security's at an all-time high.
That's just a bypass. And by the way, all of your wallet information is stored on the secure enclave on your iPhone, so it is safe and secure. And so we see here.
Quick question. So when I'm buying the subnet tokens, there is no way to go. I have to have Tau already in order to buy the subnet tokens. I can't just go fiat to IOTA, fiat to Grail, fiat to Templar, and obfuscate that Tau buy under the hood. I'm not criticizing. I'm just clarifying. Is that correct?
Yeah. So
go ahead, Garrett.
So we actually had a lot of discussion about that. And we decided for this version to not include that. And the reason is because the amount of time it can take for an exchange to actually transfer Tau into your wallet and the amount of price change that can happen in that time frame can be enough of a difference that what we quote you may not be what you receive. And so, this is something that we have our eyes fixed on for a future release. But for this version, we wanted to be just very transparent with what's going on and not, not create any confusion.
Yep, makes total sense.
But it is something that we're very keen about and exploring. Excuse me. It's something that we're keen about and exploring. And again, it's another friction point that we want to remove, because if you have Ethereum or Solana or anything, you just want to go into a subnet and forget about like all the inner machinations, so to speak, of Bittensor in that regard.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
Cool. So these are my holdings, but let's say I want to actually explore some other subnets, and I don't actually feel like I have enough here. I've got to find more. I got this search icon here, and I can search for any subnet that I want to, but I can also just explore, and I can sort based on emissions, market cap, token price, etc. And I can just really easily just see what subnets there are here. And so this is a pretty familiar way to sort subnets compared to other tools, but this is just a very user-friendly look that isn't too daunting. And so, I can just scroll through here and just find something that looks interesting.
It looks like a candy store. Like, this is the first time I've seen Bittensor subnets and sort of, where it looks like a fun place and a candy store where you're like, oh my God, what's this? What's that? Right? Like all these things look like little worlds that I could dive into. Whereas, and I've seen these presented before like a million times, right? But they don't quite have that same, it's not the same magical presentation that you guys are showing me right here. So it's always riddled in complexity and like, oh God, what is this? It's a space shuttle cockpit. Like, this is just, candy store. I love this. I love this presentation.
Yeah, we wanted to focus on just the icons and the logos, and then focus on these little brief descriptions. So we have predictive financial intelligence. What is that? I'm gonna learn more about this here. They're kind of small, but like I can see what is synth. I have no idea what is synth. I can go in here immediately. It shows me like what is incentivized. Okay, price forecast.
Wow.
Surface modeling. Okay, so I have a little bit of an understanding of what this is. There's a little video I could play if I wanted to. I won't do that here. And then I can see a little bit about the team. Okay, we have James here, and we just have some information about like who these guys are. We have some news and YouTube videos that I can look. Here's a hash rate podcast.
Very handsome man. Yes,
very handsome. And I can look at some other stats as well. So that'll load, and then just see like, okay, current price, what's the price change, et cetera. And just have everything that I need to build confidence in this, and go from there. And so, maybe I want to put in half a Tau here. So I'll review this, just go through the same flow, hopefully no typos. And then one thing you may have noticed with the IOTA is that it just says buying synth. This is happening in the background. So I can actually just go move on about my way without having to wait for that staking process to complete, because it can take 24 seconds or so to do, and we don't want to have to wait for that. So we can just continue about our lives. But as we can see here, we can look at our transactions, that other transactions still in process, but we can see the IOTA that we just bought. And we can see that here as well. So transaction history is another thing that is accessible elsewhere, but it can be very blockchainy. It can be very technical.
Yes.
It can feel like you're a little bit of a detective trying to figure out what your own wallet's been up to. And this makes it super easy. This is basically like looking at a credit card statement or something like that.
Oh my God, it's great. I'm not going to mention somebody else, but somebody else does not have transaction history in their wallet, and it's very sort of like I go looking for it, and I'm like, oh fuck, I can't go look. Like, you need this. This is like a big thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But yeah, and this just makes the app that much more accessible for people. It's that much more clarity. It's confidence inspiring, and I can see, okay, I bought Ridges back on October 22nd, and yeah, so this is just an additional feature that just adds clarity. So that's really like the basis of the app. And there are some other things here that we can do. You can transfer. You can either transfer in by copying the wallet address, or you can transfer out. One cool thing, I won't go through the transfer flow. It's very similar to the staking flow. But if I have another wallet that's in my phone, I can just select that immediately here. So I don't have to remember, what's the address for my first wallet, my second wallet, and do that. You can just immediately just transfer between them if you want to do that. So as you see here in my list here, I got 2 wallets, and I can add another one. You can import them. You can create new wallets, of course. And we use a 24-word mnemonic phrase instead of the standard 12. And then you have some settings here. Here you can manage your wallet. So I can go ahead here and I can rename it. But I can also switch to dark mode. I know everyone here in tech likes dark mode.
Yep.
So we've got dark mode. No worries there. And it looks beautiful as well.
That is super. This is fantastic work. Thank you guys for doing this, because you're right. If you've watched previous hash rates, this is like something I've been harping on for about a year or so. And and it is getting better, across the board. But this is this feels like this is ready for the pump.fun crowd for the first time. Right? Like, which we need that, right? Like that's part of the ecosystem, right? So, and unlike, pump.fun's all about bullshit, this is like very hardcore real AI companies and projects. But it's sort of surfacing that to the end user has been difficult. And I think you guys have done a magnificent job of sort of, when you dive in, seeing what's there. So yeah, thank you. I feel like relief seeing this in a certain way.
Yeah, that's great hearing your feedback. So we launched this for iOS. Later, it's going to come into Android. Then it's going to go into the desktop. We're going to have a desktop app. And really just taking this, in some regards, probably like the cynic in me and in many of us, and like, well, do we really need another wallet app?
We do.
And so there are 2 answers to this. First of all, it is, we feel like it's our responsibility towards all the great work that the foundation has done, right? And so we really wanted to make sure that we do right by this. But then beyond that, I think that this is just the first kind of anchor in the ground for us to really expand and take the same approach of just really clear, easy user experience, and expand that to more and more tooling and more and more services. Because I genuinely believe that what will bring the retail moment, so to speak, to Bittensor, right? Like we had the Bitcoin moment, then we had the Ethereum moment, and then we had the DeFi moment, and now I think we're ready for this to come in.
Yeah, I think we're going to hit a moment I think it's going to be in the next quarter, maybe 2 quarters, where we're going to have a breakout subnet. Like one of these guys is going to just run. Right. And we all think maybe Ridges, but, it could be Hippias, could be IOTA. Singery is now talking about IOTA. So it's possible that one of these just, and I think one or more will take off and get to $1 billion valuation. And that's what's going to turn the heads of crypto Twitter. Everybody's head is going to go, whoop, because that's what happened with Ethereum. Ethereum was remember, I was in the Ethereum ICO. So there was a vast period of time where kind of nothing was happening, right? It was like, oh my God, we've got a world computer. We've got programmable money, but like, why do we care? Right? Nobody really knew, right? And then really what kicked it off was the first ICO that, there was the DAO, right? That sort of came and went though, because that was sort of a good thing, bad thing. And then I'm trying to remember who, I think it was Bancor raised like 70 to 100 million, something like that, some enormous amount of money for an ICO. And nobody realized that you could raise that kind of money that quickly, right? And just using Ethereum smart contracts. So the ICO phase kicked off. It was a terrible thing and a great thing at once, right? Because nobody had ever done this before. And that created a lot of demand for Ethereum to go and buy the ICOs. You had to have that was the coin of the realm, right? So I think we're going to have a similar moment. And I think it's going to be sort of better, right? Because the projects are much higher quality. There's much higher signal to noise in Bittensor than there was in the early Ethereum day. It was like 80% garbage, maybe 20% good stuff. Here it's flipped. It's like 80% good stuff, 20% noise, right? When that moment comes, all of a sudden, like the Pump.Fund crowd, the Ethereum crowd, the Solana crowd, they're going to be looking for this wallet. And the fact that you're working on it now, it's like ready to go. It's going to kind of be nothing, and all of a sudden it's going to go crazy. And I think this is good enough to go crazy. So thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate your feedback.
Thank you.
So anything else to demo here, or are we pretty much demoed out on the wallet anyway?
So
that's kind of it, right? It's a wallet. I just didn't know if you had any other goodies. And so you will have a desktop, a Chrome plugin version of this at some point down the road. Yes, I think you said?
Correct. Yeah. Basically like the Bittensor Chrome wallet, we're going to, again, like reimagine it as well, bringing this into Android and really also like providing different kind of experiences for different kinds of users, right? So this is really very much like a pocket wallet that, you're not going to store here like, millions of dollars of Tau, obviously, but it's something that you want to use you want to have in your pocket, and you can deploy, small amounts into subnets, right? And so like that's really the user there,
it's consumer. It's a hot wallet for consumers.
Exactly. Yeah. Now we do want to also cater for the power users, for the power traders out there, and so like that's where the desktop app is going to be a lot more feature rich and data rich, and so that's kind of like how we're going about it in that regard.
Yeah. I look forward to that. And then when you have that Chrome plugin, will that support Ledger? Because that is one of the things that's very nice about certain other wallets is that Ledger support's built directly into it. So
definitely. Like, I mean,
feature requests.
Yeah. Exactly. I think like also what's exciting for us now that we're rolling this out is that we have the opportunity to really start learning from our users and what do they want and what's in the way for them and like what kind of friction can we remove for them. So it's just better and better.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to download this wallet and check it out and play around with it. This is fantastic. So let's talk a little bit about you guys and sort of, Bittensor in general while I got you here. So first of all, tell me who you guys are. Where do you come from? Starting with Garrett, and how did you get into Bittensor?
Yeah. Just before Tau.com, I was the CTO of the Open Tensor Foundation. And so I'm deeply, integrated into the Bittensor ecosystem by this point. But I actually got into it from the AI angle. This is my first crypto ecosystem to be involved in, actually. I co-founded a startup company in the cybersecurity space doing AI research in cybersecurity. And we were using computer vision to detect malware threats. And we have a couple patents around that. And so that's really how I entered into the space. And I discovered Bittensor kind of by accident. And then I was like, well, this is interesting. I'm curious what this is. And I thought this was a great way to really just bring in the future of not just AI, but the future of work. Really, this is, I think it just opens up a lot of opportunity for people that really want to innovate, that don't want to be just prevented from doing something really interesting and magical, just because of just all the standard blockers in the way, whether it be, college degrees or getting a job at a certain place or something like that. Like, anyone can join this ecosystem and anyone can make a big difference. And it's a complete meritocracy. And so that really piqued my interest. I hopped on a call with Jake. Not too long after, I was in the Open Tensor Foundation and helping them succeed, and served there for a while through until about the DTAO launch, and then from there, partnered up with Yoav here, who we had got to know each other. While I was at Open Tensor, he was an advisor with OTF, and so being a member of the leadership team, we communicated quite often, and that was a great experience. And so we decided to team up and really just support Open Tensor's mission and drive to decentralize itself, but also to grow Bittensor. And so that's where we partnered up, and then we met Jack and Giles, and we've already known them through the ecosystem as being just really great players in the mining space, and we just decided it made sense to join forces here. So it's a little bit of our story, not just my story, but yeah, Yoav, I'll hand it off to you.
Oh, wait, let me stay on you for a second, Garrett. So, because I'm very curious about this, right? So you come out of the AI world, you weren't really paying much attention. You probably heard about Bitcoin, but you're like, whatever, who gives a fuck? And Ethereum, right? And then, but something about this project, it's meritocracy. It sounds, you talked a lot about meritocracy. So you got the fact, and Altucher talks a lot about this idea that Bittensor, it's AI, but really it's actually a bigger thing. It's reinventing capitalism around something he calls incentivism, right? Which is like, there is no hiring, there are no companies. There's just, here's an incentive, you go get it, you get paid, and the chain pays you. And so, and anyone anywhere on earth can compete, right? So, which Bitcoin sort of had a little bit of that, right? So I'm just curious, like, as an AI guy, what convinced you that crypto is not dirty, right? Because a lot of the AI guys are like, crypto, that's for bad people, And you probably, I think my guess is you went through that and thought that yourself for a little while. And what was it that turned you, I guess?
So I think I've actually been pretty consistent about my view of crypto. I've always viewed blockchain as a very interesting technology and a very interesting tool, but it needs a purpose. I think people that build blockchain ecosystems just for the sake of it being a blockchain ecosystem are less interesting to me. And so for me, blockchain and crypto is really like this really powerful mechanism, but it has to be used for something. If I have a powerful engine, that doesn't mean a whole lot if it's not used for something important. And Bittensor is that important use case. And so really my perspective on blockchain as a tech stack, as an ecosystem or whatever, hasn't changed a whole lot. I just think that there are a lot of projects in the blockchain space that don't actually provide a lot of utility. They provide a lot of hype. And this is, Bittensor is different. Bittensor is actual signal here in the blockchain space, and you're really tying intelligence, innovation, work to TAO, and that makes it quite a bit different than other tokens. And I'm not here to put other tokens down. There's plenty of good stuff being done in crypto. But really, that was my thing, is that for me to be involved in a crypto project, that technology has to be used for a real purpose, and that's what Bittensor really is.
Did you not regard? I mean, because Ethereum, there's a lot of bullshit, but there's also things like Aave, which is decentralized lending.
Yeah,
Uniswap, decentralized exchanges. The invention of Tether, stable coins, which clearly I think have become important. Did you, for some period of time, not regard those as important? Sort of like, or did it get lost in the noise of the bullshit?
No, I think it was always interesting. I just was never in those fields and whatnot. So, I was kind of in my lane in AI. And I remember when I started my company, people asked me, "Are you going to integrate blockchain into what you're doing?" And my answer was like, "Well, if it makes sense to do that, I will. But no
but
plans
why?
to.
Right.
Yeah,
Everybody's
why?
like, what's your blockchain strategy? I'm like, fucking nothing. It has nothing to do with what I'm doing.
Exactly. Yeah, we're doing computer vision research. You're not exactly doing blockchain, but then here enter Bittensor. Now all of a sudden, computer vision and blockchain actually do have an intersection, and it makes sense all of a sudden. So again, not to put down the other projects with lending and obviously stablecoins has been fantastic. So there is absolutely value in the crypto space, but I think for me to be compelled to join the industry, I really needed to see a use case that I resonated with that really did need blockchain to be part of it. It wasn't just an add-on, and that's what Bittensor is. Blockchain is the driving mechanism of how to incentivize the future of innovation.
Well, thank you for that, because and it's very valuable for me, because there's a lot of people that come out of the AI world, or just the general entrepreneurial world, where the second you bring up crypto, like their brain just just stops. Yeah. Right? There's like this little blob of dark matter that they just don't want to look at it for whatever reason, right? And so I'm just very curious as to sort of insight into what's going on there. Right, like what exactly is going on there? Is it the fact that there've been so many meme coins? Like, what is this aversion, right? So, and I think a lot of AI researchers or software engineers, like they share that. Like I hear this from Shaquille from Ridges, right, where he's like, there's a lot of the people that he needs mining, like he has to sort of convince them to get into crypto, right? Like it's not an easy process, and he's been successful at it, but like it's sort of pulling teeth. Which was initially surprising to me. So, okay, thank you for that, Garrett. Bav, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you came from and how you get into Bittensor.
Yeah, so I definitely did not expect to get into Bittensor. Let's put it this way. And then one day, a mutual acquaintance of me and Jake actually reached out to me and said, "Hey, there is this protocol Bittensor, and there is this foundation, OpenTensor. The guys that started it, like they don't." So my background is before that, I actually ran a large consulting company that we sold to a public company in the UK. And so I've experience with like running large organizations. And so I got that message and they said, they could benefit from someone to just help them kind of like with advice about how to run, 40 people team and so on. And so I hopped on a call with Jake and I was really impressed with them and I was really impressed with the vision of Bittensor. And so came in and advised OpenTensor for, I think, about 3-4 months. And that's where I met Garrett. That was also the fortunate or unfortunate time when the hack happened. So I hope that I was instrumental there and helpful. And so like that's what really got me into getting or looking closer at Bittensor. And what was interesting for me is because something you mentioned before is I didn't have a very, I would say, positive view of crypto in general, right? Although like I own Bitcoin from like the early days and so on, crypto was just something that it's not something that I would actually go and run a crypto company, so to speak, right? But once I saw what's happening in Bittensor, I saw the caliber and the talent that is in this ecosystem, and you have actual real builders. Jake himself is a real builder, right? He's not looking for a quick money scheme or something like that, and that really like impressed me. And the other thing that I saw there, and kind of connects to what you were mentioning in terms of this incentivism, is what I saw there is actually an economy, right? I see here an economy in terms of you have Tau, which is actually a currency, which is independent of any government, right? So it's an open currency. You have kind of like open work. You have this incentive mechanism that control talent essentially, and you can be anywhere in the world, anytime, anywhere, and you can just come in and contribute and build, which is really exciting. And then you have, of course, the control or the flow of capital, right? Which means that your Tau and my Tau are equal in power, meaning rather than like what you see in the traditional finance where you have the few controlling the many, so to speak, right? You have the VCs that control the flow of capital. Here, it's very democratic. When we stake to a subnet, your Tau is worth just as much as me, right? Or my Tau. And so in that regard, what we saw here and what I see here is an open economy, right? And that's really exciting. Like, what can we actually do here? Because when you think about where we're going with AI, with AGI, with an economy that is governed by machines, I don't think that AI is going to look at the economy that we mere mortals actually built and say, oh, that's the most efficient way to actually do this thing, to run this thing, right? And so something like Bittensor and like the openness that it proposes and actually advocates for, I think it's much more relevant to the world that we're heading towards. And so all of that to say, that what really got me curious about this. And then I met Garrett and we started partnering. And then we met the guys from Tensora, Giles and Jack. And of course, Keith came in. And really the strategy became, well, how can we actually kind of do a vertical integration here, right? Like kind of go full stack. So obviously we have a prominent mining team and we have one of the largest validators and we have now the wallet and it's like we want to make sure that we own the experience at every level. And again, like for each and every of these levels, like remove the friction as much as possible over the coming years.
Yeah, I'm actually honestly, I'm surprised that guys of your caliber, like technical caliber, and having been so deep in the Open Tensor, foundation, like you nailed you nailed the UI. Like this is a consumer UI, right? And it's honestly it's better than what I thought people with your background would have been able to do.
Thank you.
That's a compliment, just so we're really clear here, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Like, and I'm not sure, and like I don't think I could have done any better, right? Like I know that my brain is dirty, right? Like I've lost the beginner's mind, right? That you need in order to truly achieve the level of simplicity that you guys have. And I would feel out of all the wallets that I've seen, I would feel the most comfortable suggesting to a new person to get your wallet because you deal with everything. I mean, everything from getting the Tau right away with your swipe a credit card, get your Tau, then buy the subnets. It's the easiest experience throughout all of that and understand what the subnets are, which I think a lot of people forget that part of it. But those explanations are literally half the battle, right? So just the fact that you can do that is unbelievably awesome. So,
thank you so much. And if I can brag actually about the team for a minute, we actually have a world-class talent that is part of this team. I can assure you that this wallet is not designed this way because of me. But we have designers that actually worked on Apple products. Wow. And we have talent that comes from Uber and Facebook and Kraken. And so
really,
these are like really heavy hitters that we brought in. And probably like some people look at Tau.com and wonder, like, what are these guys doing? Like, why is it taking so long and so on? I think it's like like Jake says something that I really like, which is he says like we're building the 1,000-year federation, right? And so what we wanted to make sure that we're really setting solid foundations for Tau.com and as a result for Bittensor and create a really world-class team that can really expand and build more and more great services and more great user experience. Because ultimately, like, this is a long game, right? It's not, again, like none of us are here for the pump and dump thing.
I didn't realize it was a 1,000-year horizon, though. I mean, I know Masayoshi Son of SoftBank, he's got like a 300-year plan or a 400-year plan. Friggin' Jake's like going for the millennium. I didn't know that. New information. But yeah, I mean, that's without a doubt, we're going for it is absolutely a long time horizon. Mm-hmm. And I love that. And I do applaud that. It's very much like Bitcoin, right? Like the idea is like, this is the base money of Earth. And I hope it becomes that personally, not just for my bags, although also for my bags. But I think that, this layer, Bittensor could very well become that for capitalism, not just AI, but like for sort of how new entities are formed and how people participate in them and how people benefit from them financially as investors.
Absolutely.
So Yeah, the incentivism thing is really interesting because you touched on it, where anybody from anywhere in the world can come and mine, and they get some rewards if they win, and they can leave. Like that's the thing. Like the leaving is like half of it, right? You don't have to get hired. You don't have to move to Silicon Valley. You can just be in India, and you can say, okay, for the next week, I'm going to go mine some ridges or whatever, and hopefully make a big pile of tau, and then leave, and that's it, and then go and maybe mine something else. Right. Like I think that sort of freelancer-ishness of it is extremely important. It's like the way films are made, right? Like where the film crew comes together, they make a film and then they all disperse again, right? And they all go off and do other things. Just that fluidity, like this idea that like you have to join a company, you have to become an employee, you have to deal with HR, you have to go move somewhere. Like all that is like that friction goes away. Mm-hmm. And I think that, and also anyone at any level can participate as an investor. It's not just SoftBank that can invest early in your company. Anybody can, mm-hmm. right? Anybody that wants to investigate can invest at any level. They don't have to be accredited. They don't have to, access to the deal is like half the battle, right? Like not everyone could be the first investor in Uber, right? Like you had to know Travis, right? You had to sort of be around in those days. Travis had to say yes. He could have said no, right? So it levels the playing field in a way nothing else ever has.
Yeah.
So
there's something truly exciting about this idea of borderlessness, right? Like there are no borders. It's like the idea of a border just doesn't matter in this world.
Yeah, no, it doesn't at all. Okay, so let me ask you guys one more we're coming up on the hour, but I want to ask you about TauFlow. So what do you, and I've asked a lot of people about TauFlow, like what they think about it. Is it working as expected? And to be frank, it's sort of like a divided opinion. And some people talk to me in private, right? So there's a lot of people, some of them who won't say this out loud because they don't want to like make people mad, right? Who are involved in designing TauFlow. Or they don't want to sound like sour grapes. Some people love it. Some people are like, this is amazing. It's the best thing ever. It's going to get rid of a lot of the junky subnets of which there are a number that should die, frankly, in favor of the children that are obviously excelling. Like we want them to win more. But starting with Garrett, what do you think about TauFlow? Is it working as expected?
I'd say by and large it is. I think that it'll take a little bit of smoothing out over time before things really just come to like the new normal. But really like philosophically, I agree with TauFlow. I think that it's not such a radical, I think, change compared to the previous in terms of like fundamentally how it works. I think it's just focusing on the right KPI to measure emissions. Because you're saying like, well, it's actually pretty easy to stabilize a price if you just have low activity. And you just make sure that you have your, very low cell pressure or root cell pressure. And even if you have low buys, you can still maintain a relatively high price. And that affects emissions. And if you base emissions off of the actual flow of tau going into the subnet, as opposed to the actual price, then, you're not really changing the entire game. You're just recalibrating what KPI to set that emission to. So the idea is that, as price goes up, emissions go up as well. And the same principle is true with TauFlow as it was previously, because as tau comes into the subnet, that should raise the price. And that's really what is being measured here. But this adds this kind of extra element of activity where there have to be active buys into the subnet in a significant volume to really be competitive in emissions across the subnet range. And so I think this is actually going to help prepare us for scale when we go beyond the 128 subnet limit. This will prevent small subnets from bleeding emissions too much. And it'll allow that activity to be the definer of emissions as opposed to, just price. So that's my kind of rough perspective of it. As far as how things are going in practice, I think there's some smoothing out to do, but I think we'll get there.
All right, before I go to UAV, I just want to give you a hypothetical here. So when I first heard about Taoflow, I started digging into it and be like, what is this? Right? Because Jake did kind of like toss it at us like over a weekend.
Sure.
And all of us were like, wait, what the fuck is this? What is this? This is like, we're doing this and the happening, right? Like was sort of my reaction, right? So I'm like, oh my God, what does this mean? And my initial conclusion was, you have subnets like Shoots, Targon, and Liam, which are providing inference, right? So their miners they have hard costs, right? They're buying electricity. They have colo facility. They got guys to pay, right? And those guys to pay, like those people, the miners have to sell some portion of their emissions all the time in order to maintain that electricity and their colo facilities, right? Just like Bitcoin miners do, right? Bitcoin miners have hard costs. It's the same thing. Right. So they have to sell some Bitcoin or they have to raise some money so they don't have to sell the Bitcoin in the near term and bet that, in 5 years it's going to be worth a lot more, which largely that bet is paid off. But that means they have to raise money now. Right. So my thinking was, well, Targon, Shoots, and Liam, their miners have to sell. So therefore, their tau flow is going to be lower than everybody else. Therefore, their miners are going to get less emissions, which means their miners are going to have to sell more, right? Because it's like a death spiral. But that's not what happened, and it didn't actually go down that way. And I was a little bit surprised by that. So is that dynamic as I described it, and why didn't Shoots and Targon get hammered, and will they down the road, do you think?
I think it's because it's the same game. It's just it's just a different KPI to measure it. Is yes, the miners have to sell down, but by selling down, that will either decrease the price and therefore emissions in the old system, or that will create negative tau flow and therefore decrease emissions. That both would happen similarly. So whether you are because when you have negative tau flow, your price is going down. So if you measure the price or you measure the tau flow, it is kind of tomato in that game. But in the game of new subnets that are maybe trying to capture some emissions, tau flow makes it a lot more honest, where you have to actually prove that you have volume as opposed to just having a high price that you can maintain with very little activity. So that's really what I think tau flow is benefiting here, is that it solves the problem of what do you do with a plethora of brand new subnets that are bleeding emissions from the other subnets. So as far as the game of the Targons and Liams of the world, I don't think it really changes the game too much. Maybe a little bit, but I don't think it really changes a whole lot.
Okay, Yoav, what do you think?
For me, and you alluded to that in the way that you presented the topic, I think that for me, the place that we could all do better is how we introduce change, right? I think that, markets need predictability. The more predictability there is, the calmer the market is, the more stable things are, people are happier, right? And so for me, and this is something that we definitely want to be a force of good for the community and for Bittensor at large, is just offer a longer horizon of hey, what's coming? Why is it coming? And I think that would remove a lot of noise from the system. And also, at the end of the day, we want to present a certain facade to the world, right? If people go on X and start bitching about hey, why is it happening? And yada, ultimately, it's not helping anyone. And so that's the main thing. I think that's the piece that I think we, as a protocol and as an ecosystem, it is in our best interest to mature because that will just present a more favorable facade to the world.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. Because as Stillcore Capital guy, putting that hat on for a second, I hadn't really factored in, Jake showing up, one morning and be like, I have altered the deal. Pray I do not alter it any further. Right. Sort of. Right. And it's I didn't realize that we had to sort of factor in that the entire dynamics of what's going on in Bittensor could change radically at any moment. Right. It just hadn't been a thought. And now I'm like, oh, well, that can happen. That said, I've watched Jake long enough now from DTAO and other things to sort of trust him more, even if I'm not totally following what he's doing initially. the more I sort of figure it out and play around with, what does this really mean? I realize that actually it's much better thought out than it looks at first glance, right? So as I dig into it, I'm like, okay, like DTAO was like that, right? Like with the DTAO, is this really going to work as expected? And, there were some initial things about that I was kind of like, I'm not sure if this is a good idea or not. As time passed, I'm like, no, that was actually a very good idea. And the way it was designed is actually far better than I thought it was initially, right? So I have learned to sort of trust him and his team and what they're doing a lot more. But the communication could have been better, right? It could have been like a 2-week horizon or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah. So yeah. I think Jake kind of got that as well. So, all right. Well, gentlemen, this has been a fascinating hour. So thank you so much for reaching out, and thank you so much for building this wallet. I'm personally totally excited about it. So any last thoughts before we go, or anything you guys want to plug? Now's the time.
Download the app and let us know what you think. And thank you for having us.
Okay. All right, gentlemen. My name is Mark Jeffrey. This has been Hash Rate. We'll see you all next time.